Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 Community meeting. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be your host today. And please note that the meeting is recorded. Today is 29th of June, 2022. And as always, we would start with introductions, but there are no new participants, so we can skip that. And I can continue with the first agenda point, but let's switch the order. I will talk about first the leftovers from last week. So we discussed last week the code of conduct contributions, and basically that two people have to be a contact person for the code of conduct enforcement, and we have our choices. So Dimitri have volunteered, and I think from EST side, Kashif is willing to take this. So I will update the documentation when I have time. Then there is some progress on Chai's request for consensus on this failure domain proposal. Thank you for Furkat and Zain, and you have checked for Furkat. Also, I think gave the AGTM, and I think it still needs one or two people to read this through, and somebody with the approval rights. But I don't see objections anymore here. So there's progress on that. And then there is one that's a bit stale. That was Himanshu's pull request, and it is failing the test since more than a week, and it was tested, but Himanshu has not fixed it. The failures. So that's the situation with the order tickets. And now I go back to the first one, and this first one is about the BMO API versioning discussion. I know that there was already some discussion between Kashif and Zain about this, but I wanted to bring this into the community. And the background of this is that in order to progress with our project from sandbox to incubation, one of the hard criteria is to have like a sustainable and predictable versioning scheme for every repository or every component. And as part of that, BMO needs one also. And the discussion is ongoing, but I really like to make it a bit more open. So my only idea is to make a BMO issue, open a BMO issue, and then we would start discussing this as part of that issue. Do you have any opinion about this?
Maybe I was thinking that if an issue is the right location rather than an enhancement proposal, a standard enhancement proposal.
Okay.
Not that the issue is completely wrong, no, in this case, but I think that you provided a strong reasoning for introducing the versioning in BMO, no? The fact that it's a requirement to move out from the incubator state. So I would treat it as a feature request that is affecting the project. Just for that.
That makes sense from my side as well. I'm +1 if someone is interested working on that. that makes sense that we can open a PR and discuss all the details on that PR rather than going to issue.
Okay, I can accept it completely. It sounds actually simpler to already go with the PR and the proposal.
And we're also thinking on EST side, having a separate meeting on this. I'm not sure how the other community members would think, like if they would have time, if we organize something weekly, or at least the initial discussion should start, and then we could maybe agree on the proposal or just the idea. Any suggestions on that?
Yeah, from my part, I would participate, but I just brought up the issue or proposal thing because I'm not sure how much time people have for additional meetings. But if the community would like to have an additional meeting, I'm perfectly fine with it. I can also conduct that the same way as the community meeting. It's really up to the community. I will put it here, and I think because this week there are only a few of us, it probably has to be discussed next week, that or on the Slack channel, that do we need a longer session specifically on this topic. Okay. Thanks, Furkat. Is there any additional opinions or questions related to this? Okay. I think this like nobody said that it would be a bad idea. Everybody looks to be interested. So I hope this will go forward. Okay, from my part, that's all. Furkat, you have one ticket on the agenda.
Yeah, so we are planning to, in CAAM3 side, soon to migrate to the CAPI v1.2 minor version. And for that, we have to check out from the main branch. And the problem we are seeing here is, so this is still the CAPI API version v1 beta 1. So basically, currently we have a main branch that runs the v1 beta 1 of CAPI and CAAM3. And now, since there is a new minor release from the CAPI side, which is v1.2, but that is still the beta version. So we anyhow have to branch out from the main, but the trigger phrases would be a bit of problem because, let's say for the main branch, we are including basically in trigger phrases this API versions, v1 beta 1 or v1 alpha 5. But since this new release coming from the CAPI is still the v1 beta 1, so there's a conflict, kind of like we have two branches that we have to support, but the only single trigger phrase. So what we were thinking is maybe change the trigger phrases. So remove the API version from it and then include the release branch names. So for example, to track the previous version of v1 beta 1, let's say we'll check out to release 1.1 from the CAAM3, and to check that version of the CAAM3, we would have a separate phrase, let's say test Ubuntu integration release 1.1. And then the development on the main branch would be mainly to the release 1.2, and that will go that way. We are trying to follow the KP's kind of workflow, because they have the same thing. So they have multiple branches, like release 04, release 04, like 4, 5, and then release 1.1, 1.2, and then they have the separate triggers for each release branch. So whenever you open a PR towards any of the release branches, you would run the tests with that, the branch prefix on the test. So it's kind of easier to handle. So yeah, that's the plan. And I wanted to know if there are any objections or feedbacks on that change that we are planning to do soon.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have just one question, no objection. So did you say that also in the CAPI environment they use a trigger phrase that it's comprised by the version, isn't it? It's not a parameter of the.
Yeah, in CAPI, what they do is, if you could open one of the PRs, Adam. So if you go to pull requests, yeah, here. So here they have these branches that they are tracking, and let's say for the new one, the release 1.2, they are like already branched out, and this would be for this release only, and the main branch always left as a development branch. And on the CIA side, what they do is, for example, if the PR is going to the, let's say, main branch here, and if you check the trigger phrases, so they're adding the branch name at the end of the trigger phrase. And for example, if there are another PR that is going to another release branch, for example, we could check if you go up the pull requests, Adam.
Yeah.
And open the closed ones. I wanted.
Oh yeah, closed ones. Yeah, we need closed ones. I am looking this closed.
And if you could open any of this release 1.2, yes, maybe this one.
I hope this is good.
Yeah, if you go down and check the view details at the end. Yeah.
It was yeah. This was
So
what I was
yeah,
looking for.
here at the end they add the branch name basically to test this PR. So that's what we are also planning to do with the CAAM3 to manage easier, so that even though we have multiple branches, we could easily identify which branch we are testing and so on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks.
Does it answer your question, Andrea? Or
Yes, absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah, this was quite a new thing. I think we were discussing it last week or beginning of this week. But I think on the user side, like people who are just using the pipeline, it would not be that big of a change. And I think this is better following the actual like release cycle, because the API endpoint names or versions will not change that often compared to the releases.
yeah, releases keeps coming, and if we have multiple releases using the same API version, then it would be a bit problematic to have the trigger phrases for each of them.
Yeah, I think this is the like, in my opinion, this is the practical way and a good way to do it anyways. Yeah, thanks. Is there anybody else who want to say something?
Is it going to be documented somewhere, this thing?
Yes,
Typically, it's
yeah, absolutely. So in well, not in BMO, but in CAAM3 and in most of the repos, we do document the trigger phrases. So
I have.
yeah, we'll make sure that it's documented in the, and maybe we'll put it in the project infra because that's where all the configurations for the CI.
Yeah, I always forget where was that, but I think eventually it will be in the user guide too, all of these stuffs, but we have them around. I just not sure where.
Are you looking for the E2E? So yeah, if you go down, it should be at the end of this README, root README.
This you mean the end of the README? Yeah, yes, I was looking for this. Yeah, so at the moment these are, I think, only in this repo, and maybe one or two others have similar docs.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah, this is for E2E only. I'm not sure we documented somewhere integration tests trigger phrases.
I don't mean integration. I mean in general trigger phrases. I'm not sure if we documented for other repos the trigger phases.
Yeah, yeah, it's not documented properly. So
Yeah. For example, like the ironic image has some custom ones that only that one has, and there are similar ones for other repos. I think at the end we would need to anyways put all of them into the user guide and like detail and give a detailed description that in this repo these are available, in this repo these are available, what are they doing. So eventually we will have to have a detailed one.
actually,
Yeah.
I just found that in project infra we do list them if you open the link that I sent on chat.
Sure, I'm opening it. Yeah, Nordic Jenkins CI. Yeah, but yeah, nice. But even this is a bit out of date because, and it has only integration, right? Or all of them?
Yeah, so here it's only the integration tests. They're not outdated, I believe.
Yeah, I mean the integrations are not, but like what I meant is that it's not containing the E2E and the parallel. Parallel was the new stuff.
Yeah, that was introduced in CAAM3, so it's not here.
Yeah. Yeah, but would you, by the way, Furkat, agree that these have to be in one place, like all of these, or would you rather like to have them in separately in each repo?
Well, actually, you can run any of the these trigger phrases in any of the repos. For example, BMO, CAAM3, right? And same for E2E. We can run the E2E test from BMO repo as well. So for me, at least, it makes sense to put them in one location rather than scattering them throughout the repos.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and code-wise, there is some addition to this that we discussed. That we hope that in the future, when we, where was this? What we were checking, that where was the copy? It was here. So in the future, we will a bit simplify the backend of this, because currently how this works is that each of the versioned tests have their own jobs per per repo. So for example, if we just take the integration test, I think I can go and check here. So even if we just look the main tests, no, not even the main tests. The main tests are quite few in number. But if we look the PR test, you will see that there are a bunch of individual jobs for each repo, for each version. So there is like for example, there is a CAAM3 V1, B1, V1, A1, V1, A4 for E2E. So that's like already 3 different jobs. Then there are keep ones, those are again 3. So there are a bunch of these, and if some test is applicable for a repo, then that the same way there is one integration for every version for the repo, and basically we have a bunch of permutations of these, and these are generated with the Jenkins job builder. And we foresee that if we start to have releases, and for example, we would support 2 API versions, and that would mean like 6 releases or how many releases, then we would have so many permutations that it would be very, very problematic to keep track of the code. So there is actually some work. I think it's on hold now, but we started working on putting PRAO before Jenkins. So the request would go to PRAO, and PRAO would trigger the job, because we hope that one of the PRAO plugins or modules have the functionality to parameterize the Jenkins jobs, because with the GGB and the pipeline scripts, we cannot do that at the moment to parameterize based on triggers and trigger phrases. Sadly, this trigger mechanism that we use in Jenkins is not that powerful. So yeah, that is coming, but it is in the future. Yeah, is there something that I missed, forgot, or is there something that we want to share related to this?
I think it's pretty much what we wanted to discuss. If there are any questions. Yeah, if not, then sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Is there any other questions or problems, improvements, requests for the meeting or otherwise to any topic? Okay, if not, then thank you for your time, attention, and we will see each other next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.